Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. On today's show, we'll check in with our local stormwater expert. My guest today is Pat Sauer. She is the Program Coordinator Consultant. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
With the City of Ames. You work specifically with stormwater. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about stormwater, why we have a consultant, and what the overall program is.
Well, I work with the Public Works Department, the Smart Watershed Program, and what we're trying to do is we're concerned about water quality, but also flooding as well, flash flooding. And we're trying to promote methods that landowners, residents in Ames can use to try and capture as much runoff on their properties rather than having it all run off down the street into the storm drain and into our local rivers or our lake. And also trying to have the public use stormwater pollution prevention methods, long words, but what that means is to try and use fewer fertilizers, phosphorus-free fertilizers on our lawns so we're not contributing to pollution in our local water bodies. And part of this is there are a number of practices that people can use in their yards to try and capture rainfall and prevent runoff from occurring.
Now, people think runoff is sort of a new problem that we've had to deal with, but really, federally, this has been dealt with for several decades. The idea of when you have runoff from your property, it could potentially damage other property, it could potentially damage the environment. There is kind of a long history with management of stormwater.
Very, very long history, and we're going through an evolution as well and changing of the paradigm in terms of stormwater management. It used to be the paradigm in the 1970s, 80s was collect the storm water and convey it through underground pipes as fast as you possibly can to a local stream. And what we're seeing as a result of that is we're seeing more pollution in our streams, and we're seeing flashier flooding flows. And I'll explain that a little bit. The water quality part of it is if you think about our impervious surfaces like our roadways and sidewalks, well, if it hasn't rained for a while, there are motor vehicle drippings, there might be some fertilizer residue or pet poop. Hopefully we're not seeing a lot of pet poop because the city does have an ordinance against that. But if we haven't had rain for a while, when we get that rain, we get what's called that first flush of pollutants that go untreated to our local waterways through the underground storm sewer system. And so what we're trying to do is use practices to try and treat that stormwater before it gets there. The other side of it is the flashy flows that we're getting. So if we're piping the stormwater to the streams as fast as we possibly can, the stream flows increase rather rapidly, and then when the rainfall ends, they drop. And so that bounce causes very unstable stream banks that causes a lot of erosion to occur.
So a real philosophical shift away from conveying as quickly as possible to the idea of detaining, filtering, and gradually allowing that water to return back to the system.
That's exactly right. And the practices that can be used to do that, one of them is as simple as having healthy soil on your lawn. And some people, if you're living in a newer subdivision, you may have, because of development that occurred, heavily compacted clay soils, and then you may only have a thin layer of topsoil. And what happens as a result of that compacted soil acts like concrete, and water will run off. You have to fertilize more, you have to water more. So you could do soil quality restoration on an existing lawn. You aerate the lawn in the fall or the spring, you top dress with a thin layer of compost, and then you seed over the top of that. And that will help your soil function more to absorb rainfall. Another thing you could do is, if you have areas in your yard where the soils will percolate, is you can install a rain garden. And it becomes a beautiful aesthetic feature as well. So you create this depressional area near a downspout, or you can divert the downspout water to an area further down the slope and create a rain garden, a depressional area. You amend the soils with compost, topsoil, and sand, and then you plant it to your favorite either horticultural plants, or we like to promote the use of native prairie plants or woodland plants. Another option would be to convert a part of your yard to, if you want to call it, the patch of prairie. So you can take, instead of mowing your entire yard, designate an area, we're going to have a patch of prairie, and or integrate prairie or woodland native flowers or grasses into your planting beds. They're disease resistant. Genetically they're from Iowa, and so they provide these deep roots. You don't need to fertilize them. They really enhance and improve soil quality, so you're infiltrating more rainfall.
So these programs are really encouraging sustainability, encouraging a cleaner environment, and through the city's Smart Watersheds program, they're actually incentivized.
Yes, they are. The Public Works Department does offer rebates through the Smart Watershed program. So there are a limited number, but you can get a rebate, a cost share for the soil quality restoration that I mentioned, as well as native landscaping, rain gardens, and rain barrels. The rain barrels is a partnership effort between Smart Watershed program and the Smart Water program. So you're looking at the water conservation benefits as well as capturing the rainfall as well.
And I have to say, you see a lot more rain barrels around the community than you did just 5 years ago. The idea of capturing that runoff before it goes into your yard, maybe where you don't want it, and then holding it for later use in gardening and landscaping, really a great idea.
Right, and one thing we really learned is, and I think the public learns this pretty quickly too, is they'll purchase one rain barrel, maybe a 60-gallon rain barrel. There'll be a rainfall event, maybe a 1-inch, and they'll find out how quickly that rain barrel fills up. In fact, they maybe should have 4 or 5 rainfalls to capture that amount of rainfall. But it just goes to show there's a lot of rainfall that comes off of our rooftop and other impervious surfaces. So it's a great education
Yeah,
tool.
I don't even have a very large roof surface, as I have a 2-story house, so the roof is not very large, but I'm amazed at how much that rain barrel fills. After even a small rainfall, it's pretty much to the top, and then I can use it throughout the week with all my gardening and watering needs. It's really been an interesting experiment to watch that water and see how long it lasts. And right about the time it's about out, we get another rainfall.
Yes.
So that works out really well. One of the things, if people are confused or don't know what these things look like and want to have an idea, is right around City Hall, you've been basically showcasing these options.
Yes, we have taken the opportunity to install a native prairie area, which is right near the auditorium, and it's signposted. So we're trying to promote the use of prairie areas and prairie plants. And if you go out there right now, it just happens to be at peak blooming. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It is absolutely beautiful. So many colors right now, and you can't miss it.
And if you stand there long enough, you'll see that it attracts butterflies. You'll see some bumblebees, which are all positive things. We also have a bioretention cell. We're in the process of updating that one a little bit. We've added some edges to that, but that is planted to native prairie plants as well. And then we have 2 really huge rain gardens on the west end of the community center that are just absolutely gorgeous. We installed those a couple of years ago, and the plants have just really taken off. And so all of those features are capturing runoff from the parking lots or impervious surfaces, that are at the community center. So we'd like to set an example for the community.
And I have to say, the rain garden in the parking lot really has a tough job. There is a lot of hard surface there. There's a lot of potential drippings from cars, and it's really nice to know that there may be some filtering going on before that enters into the waterways. I'm not sure that people always understand that when things go into the storm sewer, they're going directly into our local streams and rivers.
That's right, and the bioretention cell and the rain garden that is there, they act as filters. And so in the bioretention cell, you have this engineered media, which is compost and sand and some topsoil, that's used to filter out the pollutants. The plants have an added benefit. They uptake water and help with pollutant removal as well. But that soil does a lot of the work of cleaning the water before it's discharged. You don't see this when you're looking at the biocell, but it treats the water, and then it's connected to the storm sewer system, so that water is treated before it goes to the Skunk River.
So I think people need to remember, when you flick your cigarette butt against the curb or you throw your pop can out the window, where does it all go?
Right. I think we forget in our urban areas, a lot of that ends up in our storm sewers. And where do those storm sewers discharge to? Our local waterways. And I tell people, fish don't smoke and fish don't drink soda pop. So keep in mind that when you're dumping things and throwing things out, you're actually littering our local streams and our water bodies as well. So we like to keep the trash out of our streams.
I think there's a sense that those storm sewers are going to some kind of filtration system first, and they're just not.
For the most part, in the city of Ames, there is. We have some places where we do have bioretention cells or rain gardens that are treating the stormwater, but there's a common misperception that that water that goes into the storm sewer is going to the wastewater treatment plant, when indeed it's not. It's, for the most part, drains directly to our local streams. And so we need to all do our part to try and prevent any pollutants or any trash from getting into our local streams. If you have leaky motor vehicles, make sure that you have them repaired so they're not leaking fluids that would get into our streams.
Yeah, there are lots of simple things that people can do to help keep our environment clean. Maybe you're not going to be able to plant a rain garden, but a rain barrel might be a nice option. Fixing a vehicle so it doesn't drip oil on the street, a small thing to do, but really could have a big impact. Lots of little things that people could really do to get involved.
Right. And I invite everyone as well to go to the city's website, look under Public Works, Smart Watersheds, and we have maps of each of the watershed. Find out what watershed you live in. The watersheds in Ames would be the South Skunk River, Squaw Creek, Onion Creek, Clear Creek, Whirly Creek, and College Creek. So find out which watershed you live in.
Wow, I don't think people even realize there are that many waterways just in our community alone. And again, the word watershed I think sometimes confuses people. Just sort of explain that quickly.
What a watershed is, and actually I failed to mention Ada Hayden watershed as well. So a watershed is, if you think about the words water and shed, water moves from a high point and to a low point. And so it's the water that drains off of a land surface area to a low point. That low point almost always being a river, a stream, or a lake, or in some cases a wetland.
So the collection area of where the water goes and then ends up down to the, something easy to remember. Protect your watershed. There are lots of them in our community, and we all need to do our part.
Right, right.
Well, Pat, thanks for visiting. It's always good to hear the information again. That information on our website, cityofames.org. Look under Public Works and then look for Smart Watersheds. You can also go to the front of our website to the Go Green button, and you can get a quick link to all the EcoSmart programs the City of Ames offers. One last thing, as you're looking for things to do this week, remember that the Water and Pollution Control Facility will be holding a ribbon cutting at 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, July 24th for their UV disinfection system. I bet you've never been to one of those before. We'll have refreshments and cake. Enjoy a great afternoon out there. That's 1:30 Thursday, July 24th. Well, thanks, Pat.
Thank you very much, Susan. Happy to be here.
Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.